Hello, true crime family. Okay, finally I'm getting the Evansdale case. We're gonna finish it up today. So you might want to get a drink. It's kind of long to the end, but it's very interesting. This is the best part. It talks about all these crazy rabbit holes that this case has gone into, and at the end I'll kind of tell you what the town has been saying and thinking as well. So I did the walk around the park where the girls are being honored and remembered. That's one of my videos. And then I talked about the background of the family and the girls and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to get into the part about what they did once they found the girls. So we're going to jump right into it, and here we go. Okay, so they brought there are many sex offenders in our surrounding area, which of course we didn't know of. No one ever tells us that information, but you need to look it up on a regular basis to see how many sexual offenders you have in your area. The police brought them in and they were questioned several times, and several of them took polygraph tests. Law enforcement cleared all of them. So then the family and friends of Lyric and Elizabeth's parents, they were all interrogated as well. The police said that they were likely taken by a complete stranger. At one point, the FBI stated they believed the girls, in the beginning, before the girls were found, this female FBI agent came out and she said, "I believe the girls are still alive." And this went on for a while, like 4 months or something like that. It was horrible. Why would you even say that? You gave everyone hope. It was horrible. And then the next thing that occurred was Dan, Lyric's father, he was vilified, and he was facing charges of assault, DV against Misty, his ex-wife, possessing, dealing meth in large quantities. Police Police let him out of custody when Lyric went missing. Okay. While he was out on, they let him out because his daughter was missing. He said he relapsed, and that made him do more meth. So 2013, he was convicted. Judge Stout kind of threw the book at him, but I wanted to find one part. Let me see if I can find that one part. Yes. Okay, so Dan was in jail, right? And he was going to testify, and he made a plea bargain before the girls were found. He made a plea bargain, and he accepted this plea bargain of 8 years. That was the day after the abduction happened. Then all of a sudden, after this was all over, Judge Stout gave him 90 plus years. So what is everyone saying about that? The judge threw the book at him, right? Is this for not releasing names to law enforcement about drug informants? That's what a lot of people are saying. you know, and of course we don't know, but let me keep going because this gets crazier and crazier. He had women, Dan had women buying and stealing pseudoephedrine so that he could make it. Many people believe that his drug debts or retribution for criminal activity had a lot to do with the abduction of, you know, the two girls. He stated he had nothing to do with it, but some think he narked someone out and they did this. This is just, you know, rumors out there. This, you know, this isn't true or anything. These are just rumors in our town. Misty and Dan, let's see, Misty, Dan's wife, which is Lyric's mom, on August 20th, on August the 20th, she was found, she was heading down that road of drugs again, and she was found unresponsive at her room. She had drank a lot of alcohol and taken pills, and she OD'd. She recovered, but continued that downward spiral into drugs, and in 2014 she was convicted and sentenced to 10 years. But later her sentence was reduced and she was let out after 1 year. It said that she's doing better, but like I said in my previous video, I'd give you a little bit of background on Dan and Misty, but I don't really want to talk about them. Heather continued to be proactive. That's Elizabeth's mom. She was handing out flyers to everyone and anyone that would take them. She attended daily meetings at the police station. She attempted to get the Amber Law changed. This is the sad part. Through all of this, Heather and Drew, they had a wonderful family, and you know, they were, you know, the typical family, Iowa family that went to church and their children's sports, and they were just fine. Well, after this incident occurred, they struggled with their relationship, which finally ended in divorce. They remain friends and still are to this day. Everyone grieves differently. It just tore them apart. Okay, so now we get to, you know, several months down the road, which is like 6 months actually, to Seven Bridges Wildlife Park. Okay, so it was a place like back in the 70s and all the way up to like the 90s. Some say 2000. It was a party place, where everybody went, the young kids went, not everybody, but the younger kids would go and drink and, you know, have bonfires out there. So in 2000, there were a lot of rumors that there were meth deals going on out there, and they even found a meth lab that was said to be dumped there, but a lot of people said that there was meth being made there. This was in Bremer County, the next county over at Seven Bridges. In the 2000, ATVs were tearing up the park. Law enforcement had been called there numerous times. On December the 5th, 2012, hunters were said to come upon 2 bodies. What was interesting is that law enforcement said they were situated in a way, unless you walked right up on them, you wouldn't be able to see them because of the way that they were placed in the brush. These hunters, so-called hunters, and we'll get to that later, called law enforcement. The bodies were said to be smaller in stature. The remains were sent off to the state lab in Ankeny, and it was confirmed to be Lyric and Elizabeth. It's not the outcome that the parents wanted, but at least it gave them closure. Law enforcement did not disclose the manner of death, the time of death, or how they were found, because it said that their bodies were staged in a particular way. They also didn't say if they found any DNA. So this went from a missing persons case to a double homicide, which is a rare offense, which I talked about this in one of my other videos, for two girls to be abducted, and with it happening in broad daylight made it even more rare. A few instances of men coming forward on different occasions stated they committed the crimes, but again, law enforcement ruled them out because they didn't have enough intimate details about the case. In Dayton, Iowa, on May the 25th, 2015, a young girl was walking home with one of her friends. The girls were lured into a man's truck after he threatened them with violence. He drove around mainly farmland. Finally, he settled on a pig farm. This is where he was employed. So he went to the pig farm because that's, he feels more comfortable there. He zip tied the girls' hands. He left one of the girls in his truck unsupervised and took the other inside the pig barn where he assaulted her. The other girl was able to get away and she ran for help. She found help within minutes. Later, when law enforcement arrived, they found the man with a self-inflicted gunshot and no longer alive, and he was in the truck at the pig farm. Catherine Shepard was the gal that he abducted and, took into the pig farm. The young girl was nowhere in sight. She was found in the Des Moines River, 20 miles from the pig farm site. She was stabbed and beaten to death, and this was about a week later, I think. The man's name was Michael Klunder. He spent 2 decades in prison for kidnapping and assaulting a woman, and he also kidnapped 2 3-year-old children. The women and 3-year-old did survive. The occurrence was after 1 year, and it was 100 miles west of Evansdale. But again, law enforcement stated he did not have anything to do with it due to forensic differences. Oh man. June the 24th, 2013, a tip led the police to the third witness. Okay, so when the girls first went missing, there were 2 witnesses that said they saw a white SUV, but the police put it in the report, but they didn't do anything about it. So 1 year later, on June the 24th of 2013, they got a tip from the third witness that said on July the 13th, the day the girls went missing, he saw this white SUV near the area where the girls were missing. It took a year and a third witness before they finally investigated this. And what are you going to find after a year? Seriously, if you go to look at any tapes, they've been wiped, right? This was a total bungle of the law enforcement. It would have been better if they looked at that tape or those tapes and listened to those 2 people that came forward on the day that she went missing, the girls went missing, and told, the police investigated that white SUV then. But no, they just didn't. On November 2016 in Ottawa, Iowa, 20 miles west, 2 girls said a man attempted to lure them into his car. They got away, they ran in the house, they told 2 adults that were in the house, and those adults grabbed a neighbor, they jumped in the car, and they headed down the road and got behind this guy and was following this guy. They finally come up beside him, and he said, I'm a undercover police officer. So they continued to follow this guy. Finally, law enforcement arrives and they pull the guy over. He was arrested. His name was Jeff Altmeyer. He was a 58-year-old married man for 30 years. He had 2 grown children that no longer lived at home. He had been a member of the National Guard. Oh my gosh. He spent decades working for a security company. When he was arrested, he was a travel auto damage field inspector, which allowed him to travel throughout the Midwest on a regular basis. He was He was committing this with, he was committing this crime all over Iowa. Between May and December, he had lured several dozens of girls in Iowa into his car. Some of the girls he had released 1 block away, but 2 of the girls they were between the ages of 6 and 13 years old, that he SA'd them, and he ended up going to prison for life. And again, law enforcement says there is no link to the Evansdale cases. Jeez. So in Belle Plaine, which is approximately 40 miles south of Evansdale, a horrible tragedy occurred. It made national news when a Union Pacific train headed down the tracks at 5 a.m. It was reported that a mother and son lost their lives along the railroad. Krillman and her 8-year-old son lost their lives. At first, they thought it was an unfortunate accident, but after investigating and receiving video footage nearby, they were horrified to see that the mother jumped on the tracks and pulled her son onto the tracks in the last seconds, making this a murder-suicide. Law enforcement investigated this for over 1 week. They found that she had been going to counseling for mental health issues and was placed on medication. She had even told one of the counselors that she felt like standing in front of a train. She informed the counselor that she had knowledge of the 2 girls in Evansdale that lost their lives. Law enforcement found a diary at her home with details of these 2 men that she once hung out with and partied with. She had details of how they committed the crime on Lyric and Elizabeth. Again, law enforcement stated everything in her diary was old news, and they had already looked into this and ruled it out. Elizabeth's mother did an extensive interview with reporters. She talked about how every day and every night she thought of her daughter and her niece. She often goes to the Park of Angels that was dedicated to the 2 girls, and she says she still talks to Elizabeth. She and her sister, Misty, no longer has a relationship because of the drug problems, and this case took its toll on that relationship as well. When the girls were found, Misty said she was going to have Lyric cremated. Heather begged her sister, please don't, please don't. She begged and begged because she said one day there's going to be new technology, and if she's cremated, we can't get that, DNA from her. And so Misty ended up just blowing off her sister, and she ended up cremating Lyric. Okay, where is it? This gave Heather a very bad feeling. She said she told the reporter in this interview that it would just break her heart if she found out that her sister and brother-in-law had something to do with this. She kept asking her sister, what are you hiding? Why are you cremating her? We can get evidence from her body if they have new technology. What are you hiding? And to this day, they have no relationship. Another very odd occurrence is that the chief of police of Evansdale, during the time of these this abduction and this murder and this investigation, Evansdale Police Chief Kent Smock was fired. It is said because of the way that he handled the case and the violent tendencies he had towards his police officers. Ted Gamendinger, he was the one that found the bikes on the bike trail, and he happened to be Kent Smock's, the chief of police, best man at his wedding. Now, the two guys that went up to Seven Bridges Natural Wildlife Park to go hunting, which this park, nobody hunts there, okay? No one hunts there. And if they do hunt, they hunt for raccoons. Now, has anybody gone raccoon hunting? I have when I lived in Ohio and West Virginia. You do that at night with a flashlight, okay? You don't do that in the daytime. Just saying. So these two fellas, these hunters that went up to Seven Bridges, they found the girls, okay? And these two guys, well, one of them for sure, worked for Gamendinger Heating and Plumbing. Okay, so everybody here is like, oh my gosh. So, not everybody, I take that back. Some people are on the fence about, this police chief, this Gamendinger, and now they think this Gamendinger or the chief somehow are involved. I don't know if it relates back to, I don't know. But anyhow, sent these two guys to exactly where Lyric and Elizabeth were. Because law enforcement, when they got there, they wondered, how did they find them? Because they were pretty, like I said, you would have to walk right up on top of them. And these two guys happened to be from Evansdale, Iowa. They go up there to hunt in the daytime when there's nothing to hunt in the daytime. It's raccoon hunting, which is big there. And they find the girls. Then shortly after that, a 25-year council member abruptly quit less than 30 days before he was scheduled to retire. That's bizarre. Now, this is something that everybody kind of says about Evansdale and Delphi. Get a piece of paper and a pencil. Or a pen, whatever. And write down 7/13/2012. That's Evansdale, right? Write down Delphi 2/13/2017. Swap the month with the year. Very weird, isn't it? Very, very weird. Many law enforcement say there are links. Many people say there are links to Delphi, but again, our local law enforcement is saying no. Come on. Seriously? I don't think we're ever going to get an end to this. So what are the big theories here? What are locals saying? Many believe that because Ted Gamendinger initially found the girl's bike on the trail, he was police chief Smock's best man at the wedding, and the two guys that worked for Gamendinger found the girls. They were from Evansdale. The girls were pretty hidden in brush. People say, how? How did it happen to be two guys from Evansdale? They say it's a hunting area. Well, you do not hunt raccoons in the daytime. This is why I do not believe this case will ever be solved. And I believe the police officers that were under Smock, that it was every single one of the chief of police's police officers that went to the town council and got him fired. Okay, so I think some of those police officers may know something, but that's just my opinion and I don't want anybody coming for me. Others believe it was Misty and Dan and their involvement in drugs. And I'm not going to say anything more about that because I don't want them coming after me. This case is with me every day. I said our town lost its innocence that day, but after looking into these cases, this case and these other cases in Iowa, our state is just as bad as any other. Heather moved from Evansdale and she no longer wants to get updates on the girls because there have been so many updates, like the one that the FBI lady said that, oh, she believes they're still alive, and for 4 months they had hope, you know, and then the girls were found. And then all of these other rabbit holes that law enforcement said, nope, nope, nope. So she just can't handle it anymore. So Drew, her ex-husband, he takes all the leads, and if there's anything that he can positively say, he'll share it with Heather, but otherwise he doesn't put her through that pain. He's the person that the police go to when they have any leads or any information about the case. Let's see. The dark cloud still lingers over our county. We have learned there are monsters everywhere. Some in our community really believe that the Evansdale and Delphi murders have many of the same clues. I was also sent a comment that Richard Allen's daughter went to college in Iowa, but that is not a fact, and I have not found anything out about that yet, and I have no receipts on that. So I'm just kind of saying that is something someone shared with me on my comments. So it's not a fact, but it's something that we can look into and see if that's true. I will continue to search and pray for answers. I will pray for the folks that have mental issues, and I'll pray for the folks that have thoughts of harming anyone, and will choose and hope that they will choose another path. Thank you all for your support. It means so much. Prayers and love to you all, and prayers and love to these families who have lost so much. I'll see you soon, and thank you for your support. It means so much. See you soon.